I bid you welcome.
I welcome you to my house.
Welcome to my house.
Welcome to my home.
Hello horror hounds, welcome to my horror house and welcome to another Monster Monday. On the menu this time is 1955's Godzilla Raids Again. This time round, the human story involves the owner and employees of a Japanese fishing company. Yeah. It begins when a spotter for the company crash lands his plane on an island. When his best friend comes to rescue him, they witness two huge monsters fighting, and then the monsters fall into the ocean. Professor Yamane from the previous film is drafted in for a brief cameo to help identify one of the monsters and recycle some old footage from Gojira, and underline that this is a new Godzilla and the means used to destroy Godzilla in the first film are no longer available. In fact, humans have no way of destroying these monsters, and they are moving towards Osaka. It's clear the film was rushed into production to capitalise on the success of Gojira, and the human story is accordingly undercooked. Honestly, who really cares about the fortunes of this fishing company or whether one of the two friends will ever find a wife, a subject that the film is strangely obsessed with? We have Anguirus, who's designed around a dinosaur, the Ankylosaurus, and he is a scrappy little bugger. He's a quadruped with horns on his head, a formidable spiked tail, and an armoured carapace studded with long, sharp spikes. The way he jumps at the chance of a ruck, I also think there's a little bit of terrier in him. And of course we have Godzilla, who is just as much a force of destruction as he was in Gojira. We get the first aerial shot of Godzilla swimming from the point of view of one of these spotter planes, and both creatures are still clearly animals, going at one another. There's no anthropomorphic creatures here, no trying to give them personalities beyond their instinctive nature to fight. There's no shadowboxing, dancing jigs, or partaking in little Three Stooges style slapstick. That will all come later. For now, they're going at it. For all its flaws, I love how Godzilla Raids Again treats its monsters like natural disasters. There's no chance of successful retaliation, so rather than fighting back, the creatures are observed, their landfall predicted as if they were hurricanes, with towns and cities in their path blacked out and evacuated. The only viable plan at the humans' disposal is to try and distract any approaching monster with flares out to sea dropped by the Air Force, with a view to luring the creatures back out into deeper waters. Bizarrely, the big fight between Godzilla and Anguirus takes place halfway through the film with no round two, leaving the story struggling to make us care about what happens next. That fight, though, is the clear highlight of the film. Godzilla first makes landfall about 35 minutes into the movie, and tons of army ordnance is instantly thrown at him. Tanks, land-to-air missiles, the Air Force, air-to-air missiles. Then Anguirus arrives and they scrap amid all of the missiles and artillery fire. There's biting atomic breath, the docklands are on fire, buildings topple, lots of buildings topple. Sure, it's two men in rubber suits pretending to duff each other up, but it is awesome. This whole section, beginning with Godzilla approaching the blackened out city, is eerily low key. The music doesn't dominate and the spectacle is left to speak for itself. Some people are washed away when a subway is flooded and Osaka Castle is turned to rubble between the two fighting titans. All in all, this fight section lasts about 10 minutes and it is so much fun. Sadly, the film can't ever again match the heights of Godzilla's first fight with another monster. The pace is lost and the story founders with no focus. The human story is significantly less compelling than the moral and ethical quandaries of Gojira, and once the showdown between the two monsters is finished, it's not nearly enough to carry the rest of the film. Not even Godzilla really has anything left to do. He sort of mooches around, then finds himself on an iceberg, then kind of sort of hangs around there until the humans can get enough of an act together to try and trap him in the ice. There are some enjoyable shots in this final sequence of fighter planes dive bombing Godzilla, and the sequence sometimes brings to mind the trench run at the end of Star Wars, but it goes on for 15 minutes. This is 15 minutes out of an 81-minute long movie, and it becomes interminable, plane after plane after plane. Honestly, I'd watch the first half and then skip to the very end. You may want to watch the human story bits on fast forward. Disappointing as the story is though, Godzilla's first face-off against another monster is a must.